Tracy,
They're popping up.
looks like it, yeah.
Tracy said.
Tracy, Jeremy, Colleen. Hang on there.
Tracy is. Colleen is. Who else?
Jeremy,
Jeremy, oh, Adam. That's not a hard fix.
and Colleen's on. Oh.
Copy Louis.
Jeremy File. Who else? Louis.
Yep, you already, do you have it
He's-
marked?
He's
Yeah, you
marked.
did, you have it marked, okay.
We have Dylan, Donna, Nick, Calvin. Calvin's here.
Calvin's here.
He's double good. I think we're good. Give it another minute, maybe.
Yep. 1 minute, we'll start.
Everyone comfortable? Oh, yeah.
Got a fan?
It's bad. I get it on.
Oh, that's right.
It's this
I
guy.
can feel it at the table, so I'm good, and I got that fan up there.
Okay. You're probably a little warm from that side of the building.
Yeah, you walk over there and say, oh, heat.
You're warm.
All righty, so we'll get started. It's 5 o'clock. So welcome everybody to the safety meeting. We're gonna be doing this every month. Each time it'll be a different topic. So each set of series of meetings will be a different topic. It might be driven by what's going on or things we need to cover for any specific reason. So today, what I'm going to cover a little bit about is I'm going to cover SawCon. We'll start with that, and I'm going to go into some other items. So SawCon, as bus drivers, go ahead. All right, so SawCon, as everybody knows, is what we keep track of our hours of service on, our driving time, our shift time. So you need to make sure that when you get into a vehicle, you are using your login and logging in. Who's talking? And mute participants. Okay, so it's important that you log in. And then once you log in, there's things you have to do like your pre-trip before you actually start your shift driving. So what you need to be aware of when you go to log into a unit is make sure that the person before you has completely logged out. Otherwise, you're going to be on their log. You're going to make their log way out of skew, and you're not going to have any time. So that requires we have to go in and fix it. So if everybody logs off appropriately, then the next person can log in correctly. So I'm going to cover the log off. So when you're done with your trip and you're now back here at the office and you park your vehicle, you want to make sure that before you turn that vehicle off, you put yourself off duty. And this is at the end of your day after your post-trip and everything's done. You want to put yourself off duty, give it a minute or so to upload into the cloud. As long as it's outside the building, it should upload just fine. It's when it gets underneath the building that becomes problematic. So you want to make sure that you're logged off and you'll see your name and it'll say off duty. Then you can turn the vehicle off. If you turn the vehicle off before you actually log off, that's how you get stuck on duty or on driving. So just make sure you log off appropriately. So if you get in and see the thing is still stuck, in use mode, that means the guy before you didn't log off, so you need to log him off. And then start, because you don't want to get your logs mixed up. Logs are important. FMCSA uses them to make sure that we're legal. You're not driving too much. You're getting enough time off. And we have to have the appropriate paperwork come audit time. So since we have motor coaches, that's a big red flag for them. So we have 5 right now. And if we go to add another 1 or 2, we're going to even creep up a little higher on their list. So instead of every 3 years, they might come in every 2 years, but they're going to want to audit our driver logs, make sure we're all above board. Everything is good, no violations. And that includes making sure that all of your logins and log offs are correct. It automatically knows what you've been assigned, whether it's hours of service or whether it's 150-mile radius. It will log you on, automatically take care of you in whatever mode you've been tagged with. So you don't have to worry about that. So again, SOCON's important for that. And also, we are in the process of getting all the cameras in. It's a long process, but what the cameras will do is it will give us the ability to go in and check things. So the cameras aren't there to be a big brother type of scenario. We're not going to sit there staring at the cameras. Oh, what's he doing now? What's he doing now? No, what it's designed to do is capture things. Like, for example, if a driver backs into something, we should be able to capture what it was that got hit and then look at another camera and see who was driving. Because right now, some people aren't fessing up to damage. So that will be one aspect we can use it for. The bigger aspect is if you should be in an accident, God forbid, it could help us with the scenario of what we're saying happened. So let's say if somebody pulled in front of you and hit you, that's what the camera should show. So it will help our case to prove that what we're saying is correct. Now, if it's not correct, it's going to also help the other side. So it's a double-edged sword there. So the cameras are designed to help us watch for trends. Meaning, is there somebody that's continually bumping a bus? Do we need to pull that person in for training? Some corrective action. And also, in the past, when we had drive cam, it would catch people doing things that they're not allowed to do. So for example, we caught people running stop signs. We caught people smoking in the bus. So there's different things that it will pick up on that as a side thing, we find out. We're not necessarily looking for it, but we find it out. Also, it's caught people drifting off to sleep. So these cameras will help us with the same type of process. However, the main reason we have them is to help with us if it comes to an insurance issue or an accident issue, so that we've got something we can rely on, say, here's what really happened, here's the camera feed. So it's not just to pick on anybody. It's to be used for a good purpose. Speeding. It does pick up speeding. It will pick up if you're going 28 and a 25, 58 and a 55, 72, 73 and a 70. According to its criteria, that's speeding. So what it does is it throws an alert to several people here. TDS alert, when we open it up, oh, it's a speed alert, and it'll tell you what vehicle, and then you can go to the vehicle and see who's driving it. So we also look for trends there, because people that speed all the time, that could be a trend towards an accident waiting to happen. And that's not what we want to happen.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So, I was taking University of Michigan, we had 6 motor coaches, I was driving a bus, and Elizabeth was driving another bus. And the motor coaches seemed to be going at a faster speed, like 75, and we were going 70 and getting buried. We're supposed to stay together, we can't stay together. Is there some kind of restriction that on the coaches, if they can go a certain speed and we don't, we have a different speed?
Coaches are governed at 72.
72. So
Flat
what are
ground,
the buffers are?
72.
Because I was trying to keep up with them, I couldn't.
So you got to take into account different size tires. And the calibration may be a little different.
But the thing that's the situation is we're supposed to be together,
Right.
and I had buses behind me, buses way up there, and they had a problem with me complaining that I couldn't keep up.
Okay, so then,
We hired outside companies, not-
so with these outside companies and the coaches,
yes,
that's why.
but there are company too. They were saying, why didn't you keep up? I said,
So there are buses in front of you as well?
front and back.
Okay,
There was
so,
8 of us together, six motor coaches and 2 regular
okay,
buses.
so again, they're governed at 72. Now, I don't know if the other companies are governed or not, but all of our MCIs are governed at 72. So they'll do 72 top. I don't care if you
What
have
is
your
regular
foot to the
bus?
ground.
What did you say?
Pardon?
What are our buses set at?
That I don't know. I don't think they're governed at all. That's the problem, not governed. But,
I don't think
they
I'd go
will.
over 72.
Oh, yes, you can.
If I had it on the floor, it wasn't going. I'm talking about 343, 342.
Oh, well, I can't talk about those. I would need to check into it, but the black minis, they're not governed, so I can check and see if those are governed. Now, you get into the issue where different size tires, calibration is different. If all you can do is all you can do, then that's all you can do. And sometimes, you know, I've been with another company to where we get out on the open road. I'm doing 70. He takes off and he's long gone. It's like, okay, I'm running my own race. So you were supposed to stay together, but you also have all your directions as to how to get there.
Oh, yeah.
So people in the front should have seen that maybe you were drifting back and they should have slowed a little so that you all stay together. So that's something that the appointed head person should be addressing. They should notice, oh, you're hanging back. I'm not sure why. Then they should be slowing a little so that you're closer to them. They're not just leaving you behind.
Okay.
So that might be something we want to bring up with people too, that make sure if you got a whole crew behind you and they're not keeping up, there's a reason for it. Because if they're only doing 72 and you're not keeping up, that means your bus must be possibly governed. And so it won't do 72 to keep up, or maybe because of the different calibration, maybe the motor coach 72 might be the bus, maybe 76, and you just can't get it there. So we'll have to check into that, but that's a good point. People should be aware so that, you know, they can slow down and keep as a group. So we'll get that addressed. So, excuse me, in speeding, there's issues there. Speeding and you get an accident, it's going to be potentially a worse situation because you were speeding. So you can get a ticket for speeding. SOCON will pick it up. But if you're in an accident, it might not go well if when they read the black boxes, it shows you were speeding. So speed has a tendency to factor into accidents. And so you don't want to do that. So be aware of your speed. Due diligence to stay at the speed limit. And in your situation, we'll have to check that out because you still might not be able to get exactly the same mile per hour. And they're just going to have to make some adjustment because if you can't go any faster, they're going to have to slow down. All right. Smith system. I think you've all gone through the Smith system training at some point. Smith system is something we've used for a long time. It works. It's a space management system. We call it space cushioning, so that ideally you have a cushion on the left side, your right side, behind you, and in front. So if you have to make some movement or you have to slow down, you've got someplace to go. You've got room in the front and you've got room on the sides, and in the back, hopefully the guy is back far enough that he won't hit you. So in heavy traffic, you run into situations where you got people taking up all your space. You can't force them to give you space, but there's little things you can do. You might be able to change a lane to get more space. You can slow down a little to give yourself more space in the front. Now, somebody may cut in there, but then you just slow down again a little and get your room back. You want to make sure you've got plenty of space in case you have to stop. You don't want to be nose to tail and hit somebody. If you have a tailgater behind you, if you slow down a little, they'll usually go around you. And that doesn't mean slam the brakes on. It just means gently slow, and they'll eventually get around you because they'll get annoyed and they want to get away from you. That way you'll get rid of a tailgater. So always try and manage your space. Now, there are 5 keys associated with the Smith system. When we use this system all together, it's going to help you manage your space. It's going to give you the ability to detect danger, issues that might be coming up, and it's going to hopefully create time for you to react to them. Reacting may be, slowing way down, or maybe coming to a stop, depending what the situation is. It may mean getting a different lane. It may mean actually getting off the road. It depends what comes up, but it's about being prepared to take those changes and not get mixed into what's going to happen in front of you or beside you. So the first key is aim high and steering. So what that means is you're looking into the future at least 15 seconds ahead from where you're at. If you're on a city street, it could be a couple blocks. If you're out on the open highway and you're going 60, 70, it could mean a half mile, quarter mile, a mile. So you need to gauge where that space is that you want to be in 15 seconds, and you need to make sure it's going to be clear when you get there. So to do that, you're going to be gauging your travels, and sometimes you have to slow down a little because people in front of you are slowing. If you run into a pack, in most cases, we would like to get rid of packs because packs are dangerous. So you may need to slow down a little, let the pack get away from you, or maybe you can change a lane and maybe the pack can go that way and you can still go here. So packs aren't good. They can cause problems. You get people that get fidgety, and then they start cutting across everything, and all of a sudden now you got people hitting each other in an accident. So keep that in mind, 15 seconds. And again, the distance changes depending on the speed you're going. It's called your eye lead time. The better you get at using that, the more smooth your ride's going to be, because now you can make little changes instead of big changes as you approach things. The next one is get the big picture. So you still want to try and keep an eye on all 4 sides. It's a little tougher in a bus when you can't see the back, but you can at least see down the sides and kind of see what's behind you to some extent, depending on which side they're running against. So you want to constantly update your information. And the way to do that is you're going to be checking your mirrors every 5 to 8 seconds. So that means if you just have 2 mirrors on the side, then you're checking these mirrors every 5 to 8. If your vehicle has a rear view mirror you can see out of, that's incorporated into your 5 to 8 seconds, because you want to see what's behind you, what's beside you. If you have to make a move, where can you go quickly? And if you're not looking, you're not going to know, because by the time you have to make a decision and you look, it's too late. So when I'm traveling, I keep it in my mind who's where, and it will go past me and I'll see who the next one is, so I know exactly where they're at in case I have to make a move. And that way I've got an out. So this is about leaving yourself an out if you need one. The other thing is you don't want to focus your attention on anything that catches your eye for too long. It could be a billboard. Jonathan brought up, an issue where there was a dog on the side of the road.
Dead dog, yeah. Terrible, terrible. I've never saw anything like it. I've seen hundreds of dead deer, but this dead dog was on the side of the road. And I'm like looking at it, and all of a sudden I look up and then all the cars had stopped. So I hit the brakes and the car behind me was looking at the dead dog too, and he rear-ended me in one of Sean's cars.
Yeah, and so that's not what you want.
No,
So as much as you'd like to spend some time on it, because they're professional drivers, you need to let it go and pay attention to the front. Now, I don't know if you'd seen him, coming at you, even if you slowed down, you might not have. Not that you could do anything
I was
about it.
focused on stopping in time.
Yeah,
It was a bad situation.
so, and that's the other thing is like, how do you explain that? Okay, so I got hit because I was looking at a dog and I wasn't watching traffic. So,
It's a novel excuse.
yeah. So you want to stay alert, and try and make well-informed decisions. You want to make sure you try and eliminate barriers. So a barrier could be tractor trailer, a big tall van. If you're in a sedan, maybe it's an SUV, you can't see around them. If you can't see around them, you don't know what's going on up ahead, so you can't see your 15 seconds out. So in that case, it might be best to move to a different lane where you've got a clear sight of what's going on. Because if you can't see and the vehicle in front of you stops quick, you don't know it. Now this guy hits the brake and then you're already on him. So again, not a good situation. So try and make sure that you're in an area where you can see. If you can't see very well, then definitely slow down to get yourself more distance so you've got more cushion. The next one is keep your eyes moving. That kind of goes along with checking your mirrors. But again, you don't want to focus on any one thing too long. You want to be checking your peripherals. You want to be making sure that where you're traveling is clear. There's not going to be vehicles where they shouldn't be, preventing you from your nice smooth transition down the road. When you get to intersections, it's even more critical. You need to watch crosswalks really carefully. You get people walking across on their phone, not looking. You get bicycles who think they can make it and just whiz right across the road, and there you are. And then you get other cars too, trying to cut through because they think you're going too slow. So crosswalks are a big deal. Hitting a pedestrian is a big deal. We don't want that to happen. So always on the alert, especially in downtown Ann Arbor. There's so many crosswalks. People are walking in between cars where they're not supposed to be, and you can't always tell. It's bad enough in a sedan or a van, but as you know, on a bus, it can be really bad. So in this case, you want to keep your eyes moving every 2 seconds, keeping in mind you're going to check your mirrors every 5 to 8. So you want to make sure you've got clear space. Nobody's going to encroach on your space when you're going through an intersection, when you're making a turn. Maybe you're just trying to park. You just need to be careful. And with that in mind, you also have to be careful. Let's say if you're in a parking spot and you want to back out, you got to watch. People just walk across behind you. You won't see them. Bicycle, or even another car will be cutting across, maybe thinking he's going to cut through and get someplace else in a hurry.
What are those scooters, man, are
Oh, those scooters are terrible.
come out of nowhere. Those things go fast.
They fly. Yep. Right down the sidewalk, and they'll just cut right across, like, whoa, there you are. So, they keep adding more things to our thing to watch for. It's like, it doesn't end. And then you've got those, I don't know if you've seen those ones they just stand on and lean.
Oh, those, yeah.
What are they called? Boards or something.
Yeah, they're like, they have a big wheel in the middle.
Yeah.
And they just.
And they're just motoring all over too, and you don't hardly see them. So, it's a busy landscape we have to motor through. And we just want to be very careful so that we don't get caught in a bad situation, that we don't want to be in. Eye activity, sometimes when you're driving, and let's say you're out on the open road, sometimes your mind starts to wander, you start daydreaming, thinking about some other things. When you're doing that, you're not paying attention to what you're doing, driving. So have you ever left someplace and got to where you're going and say, I don't remember how I got here? You were there and you went through it, but your mind was someplace else. You were kind of like on autopilot. So try not to let yourself do that. You can find different ways to keep your mind sharp. Maybe you're checking your mirrors more often. Some people will chew peppermint gum, something that keeps your mind on what you're doing. Also, you can have distractions in the vehicle as well. So if you have passengers in the vehicle, and let's say maybe they drop something and it's very loud, your first instinct is to turn around and look. But by the time you turn and look back, it might be too late. So try and train yourself, okay, it can wait. It's not going anywhere until I get where I'm going and stop, and then I'll check and see what happened.
Can I comment?
Yeah.
On what you just said?
Mhm.
Also, I found, driving the shuttle, when it came to, the Flex, you have to also tell the, customer, don't worry about it, because while you're in motion, they're thinking about, you know, if you're in the mini shuttle, they're thinking, let's say, if their cane or their, package fell, to go and pick it up while you're driving, you have to say, don't worry, just sit there and we'll take care of it when we get there.
Exactly, yep. Just say, don't, it's not going anywhere. It'll still be here when we stop. I'll pick it up then.
Mhm.
Because if they get up, then they could fall, depending on, you know, what your route is, or maybe they could just trip. So that's a good point, just to let them know, look, we'll get it when we stop. It's still in the bus. It's not going anywhere. So there's no rush to get it. Now that brings us to leave yourself an out. Again, we talked about the space cushion around your vehicle. When you're in really heavy traffic, you may have to sacrifice your sides and just keep your front open. Sometimes you can get a front and a side, and your back they're right on your bumper and they're right on your left side. So you've got to sometimes pick and choose where you can get your space, and take what you can get. And then hopefully you'll get through the congestion, and then it'll open back up and you'll have your space back again. But during that congested area, stay alert, keep your eyes on everything. You get to, after a while, you get to read traffic really, very well. Vehicles. Oftentimes you can tell when somebody's going to jump a line and try and get out ahead of you and take off. Or you can see the tires on the vehicle turn, and you know that guy's going to pull out in front of you. So be aware of all the things that might clue you as to what's going on. And the more you're aware, the more that you can take control of the whole situation and not let anything get out of hand. Sometimes you have drivers that seem like they might be impaired some way. I often see truck drivers in the morning going down the road. All of a sudden now he's hitting the bumps, and it's like, okay, come back on the road. Goes back over, and then I'm waiting. Is he gonna come in my lane, or is he gonna stay over there? Because I'm in the left lane. So sometimes you need to pick your time when you're gonna go past them so that they're behind you. But just be aware of that. You never know what's going on. Maybe they're reaching for something on the phone. It could be a truck, it could be a car. It's a good idea when you're driving not to travel in somebody's blind spot, because not all cars have those lights in the mirrors. And sometimes it's really hard to see back there. So if I'm in a situation where I think I'm in his blind spot too long because of traffic, I will slow down or speed up so he can see me, or slow down so he has a chance to get out, because that way we're not gonna be bumping. So in leaving yourself and out, you can adjust to a different lane, adjust your speed. Try and avoid packs. Wherever you lose your cushion space, try and gain it someplace else. But the best place to have it is in the front, because if somebody stops quick and you want to have that cushion, you're not going to hit them. Distracted driving, we'll cover that a little bit later, but there's other items too to watch out for there. We talked about tailgaters. You don't always know which side they're going to try and pass you on. So if you just slow down a little and just let them go and go away, you'll have your space back. You don't have to worry about it. Distracted driving can be visual, auditory, manual, or cognitive. So visual could be something on the road that catches your attention. Again, you don't want to stare. You want to just acknowledge it and then keep your focus on the road. Auditory, you could hear something. Maybe you hear a siren and you're looking around to see where it is. If you're looking in your mirrors and you don't see a siren, then you can still keep your pace and just be aware that it might be coming towards you and eventually you may see it. It's not something you want to be craning your neck around taking a look, because then every time you turn your head to look, what I find is a lot of times the tendency is the hands go with the head and the wheel turns. So, pacing forward, try not to let anything distract you. It can always be taken care of later. The other things you want to worry about are if you're using GPS or navigation in the vehicle. The newer vehicles won't let you touch them, change them if you're in motion. So the best thing to do for that is, if you're going to use it, set it up before you start. That way you don't have to fiddle with it while you're moving. Same way with the radio. If you're traveling alone, you listen to the radio, try and set that up before you leave so that you're not fiddling with it as you drive, because every time you look at the radio, your eyes are off the road. And that's a time when somebody could stop in front of you, could pull in front of you, and then there you are against the car in front of you. Cognitive, again, that's when you're daydreaming and you're kind of like on autopilot and you're just letting things go on around you, but you're not actively participating in it. Again, try not let yourself get in that mood, because then it just leaves you open to issues that can come up and you're not going to recognize right away. One thing about distracted driving, you know how you'll be on a highway and there's an accident, you can see it up ahead, it's on the other side. You know how gawkers are always trying to look to see what's going on. That can be a bad thing because not everybody wants to gawk. And so you get this traffic that's stop and go sometimes. So you don't want to be looking over there if all of a sudden the traffic in front of you stops and now you're going to plow into somebody, because it's going to get you in trouble. So just learn to reduce the distractions, keep your mind on your work. We're all supposed to be professional chauffeurs. We're held to higher standards by law enforcement, by other drivers. So we need to make sure we're doing due diligence in trying to function every day so that everybody goes home every night and they come back in the next morning. So we're keeping you safe, the client safe, and the vehicle safe. How to avoid being fatigued while driving. First off is if you get plenty of rest. Now, sometimes things get in the way of getting sleep. You should always do your best to have it set up so you can get some restful sleep. It might not be as many hours as you want, but you want to try and get some restful sleep because you do not want to drive tired. So, if your hours are getting in the way of you getting enough sleep, that might be a conversation to have to see if you can change your schedule a little bit. Or maybe you just need to make some arrangements at home to make sure that you are getting the sleep you need. Driving tired is sort of like driving when you're daydreaming. You can actually black out and still drive. And all of a sudden it's like, I don't know how I got here. And you don't remember anything. So it's a bad situation and that can lead to a very bad accident, which is something you really don't want to have. Medication. If you're taking prescribed medication or over the counter, you need to make sure it's not going to make you drowsy. So sinus medication or allergy medication, make sure it's the non-drowsy type. If you're taking a prescription, for example, a muscle relaxant because maybe you've torn a muscle, you certainly don't want to take it when you're driving. So that'd be something you would take when you get home, and hopefully you have 10 hours to get it out of your system before you have to come back in, because you don't want to drive with that in your system. You have an accident, you have a problem. So do your due diligence and make sure that you're taking whatever you're taking properly and that it's not going to interfere with your driving. And then somebody brought up in an earlier class, CBD lotion. That's a no-no. You get an accident with that, you're probably going to be in trouble because it's going to register. So none of that stuff. What you eat can be important. You know, you're probably used to knowing what you eat makes you sleepy, tired, sleepy, you just want to go take a nap. That's not something you want to eat before you drive. So when you're driving, you want to try and eat something that's going to give you energy, not make you sleepy. So consider what you're eating before you start driving. I used to think peanuts were good and I found out, oh, peanuts aren't good. So I stopped eating peanuts. So eat food that feeds you instead of tries to knock you out. Because your body sometimes when it's trying to go to sleep will fight you if you're trying to keep awake. So make sure that you're eating the right things. Short term, you can use coffee. You can use pop with caffeine. I see a lot of people with Mountain Dews. But that's not a long-term fix. If you're driving, let's say a long AD, you certainly don't want to be tired with clients in the car, so you've got to get your sleep. But if you're coming back deadheading with no noise, it's quiet, you can tend to get tired, sleepy, where before with all the noise it would keep you going. If you get to the point where you're tired and you don't think you can drive safely, you should get a hold of dispatch and have a discussion with them and see if you could pull over and take a nap. You could pull in a rest stop, maybe take an hour, 45-minute nap, whatever you need, just enough to refresh yourself, and then you get back on the road. But again, get a hold of dispatch, let them know. Now, if it's a situation where it's a bus with people, the driver is still able to call dispatch and say, hey, look, I think I need to be switched out because I can't stay awake or whatever it is. We can work on getting somebody to that person to try and switch them out to get them relief. The timing just depends on how far away they are. So we never want you driving really tired because it's not good for you. It's not good for us or the client. So keep that in mind, but it's the best if you try and make sure you have a great place to sleep and then you're getting the sleep you need. Oh. Sunglasses. Who wears sunglasses when they drive? You?
I don't have my quality yet. I'm not gonna get some.
Okay, so you can't just use regular
Hey,
ones?
Carol,
Yeah,
I think a good idea is eat a lot of protein, eat a healthy meal, and be prepared. Get a boatload of rest, and make sure you have a comfy pillow. The temperature's right in your room, and you should be ready ready to work. And
Right,
that's
yep,
my opinion.
yep, you're right, that's all part of it. Most people that have done this for a long time, they know based on when they have to be in, when they have to go to bed, they know, okay, I need to go off here and everybody else leave me alone so I can go to sleep. So, yes, you're right, all those things do apply.
Another thing
Sunglasses,
is that we do drive commercial vehicles, and even though we drive sedans or black car sedans, we're a commercial vehicle. We should abide by what DOT says. It doesn't matter if we're driving a car, a bus. It has to be like we're all under one umbrella, like semi trucks. We need to drive in the right lane, and so that because we transport people, but also sometimes it's okay to drive in the middle lane, but it's not okay constantly to, depending on the situation. What's your thought about that?
well, we can have that conversation, probably later, but there are instances where, it depends on how much traffic. It depends, is somebody getting on and off continually on the right-hand lane? You don't, yeah.
You never want to be.
You don't want to be in the right lane because you're gonna be
Short
stopping, starting because of people trying to get in. So there's cases where your middle lane is the best lane. But again, it depends on the time of day, it depends where you're at. So, that's something you would do with a sedan, a van, or a bus. You want to choose the best lane for that time of day for where you're located, so that you're not constantly having to try and let people in and then move for people that get on slow. So, yeah, it has its merits. So for sunglasses.
I wear them
Sunglasses
sometimes.
sometimes,
If it's real super bright, I'll take a pair of sunglasses out and wear them.
yeah. So for us, sunglasses are basically essential. What you're doing, if you don't wear sunglasses on a normal, regular basis, is the sun can damage your eyes. So that's the first part of it. The other part is you need to be able to have good vision. And if you're driving into the sun, that can be a problem. So, for example, if you're going eastbound on 96 in the morning around Milford, as you come up and come down the hill, you got the sun right in your eyes. And there's so many accidents on that stretch of road, and it's all from the sun glare. So I would recommend that everybody have some type of sunglasses and use them as needed. I have 3 different pair, all with different shadings, so that I can pick the one that's, for me, appropriate for however the sun is or that time of day. And it's going to help you, because if all you see is glare, you can get in an accident. So Jonathan has a perfect example of that. You want to give me your example?
Oh, when my family was,
Yeah,
yeah, we were in the mountains and the sun was coming down. It was almost like straight into the sun. And we were in a red light and the car behind us hit us by 30, 40 miles an hour. It was real hard. Wrecked the car, and the police officer, asked her what she was doing when she hit us. And she said, well, it's not my fault. I couldn't see where I was going. So the officer wrote her a nice ticket stating that she was driving blind. So
Yeah,
it can be very serious.
it can be very serious. So even with sunglasses on, sometimes it can be hard. I've had to lift my hand to cover a little bit of the sun so I could still see, because there's such a glare, like 6 to 7 going westbound on 96. And you really can't see when it's hitting you right in the eye. So sunglasses can be a great help. And they can also, prevent your eyes from getting damaged from the light. So I would recommend that you have some sort of sunglasses to use. I mean, sometimes you have prescription sunglasses. I don't, I just use regular ones, but sunglasses can be very important. you wouldn't want to have to, tell the police or the patrolman, yeah, I couldn't see because sun was in my eyes.
Doesn't work in baseball either.
Yeah, it doesn't work. So, just try and be careful. You should probably carry a pair just in case you need them. And again, you can get them, like I've got Ray-Bans, I've got ones that are UV, and I've got ones that, have a special filter to out the sun. So depending on the time of day and what I need, that's the pair I'll grab. And it seems to work pretty good. So especially when you get into a bus, you got a big windshield. If you have a panoramic window above you, sometimes the sun comes straight in and that can play with your vision. If you're in a motor coach, you've got those big windshields and the screens that come down, you can't always put them down all the way because then you can't see the lights. So, it's a good idea to have sunglasses when you need them. And then, that will save you, hopefully some grief in the long run. I will even use them on a little bit, like if it's a rainy, hazy, crappy day, I'll use my Ray-Bans because it gives me clearer vision. And it's not fog, but it's kind of, soupy. So that will help give me clearer vision, when I wear them at that time. So they can be handy. I'm not going to keep you too long. Cover a couple more things. There will be ADA retraining of everybody the third week of the month. You'll get scheduled in. We want everybody to go back over and get retrained on all the types of lifts that they'll be using for the vehicles they drive. So the idea behind this is to get everybody intimately familiar with it so that it becomes ingrained. Because if you're moving vehicle to vehicle and you don't do them often enough, you tend to maybe forget how to do it correctly. So this should help. It'll also help you with learning the correct way to strap down the wheelchairs. There's different types. So sometimes it can be difficult to get it strapped down correctly, but you don't want them moving, you don't want them tipping over because then it can be injury, could be lawsuit. You need to be careful.
Donna got kicked off.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So yes, that will be retraining, the third week of every month. So everybody will get cycled through. And
Do
as
we get
we,
paid for this training? Is it like an hour or 2 hours or we allow it?
how long is the ADA training?
If it's scheduled right, 1 or 2 people, 20 minutes. We just did the 600 vehicles and the 500 vehicles today and yesterday. But we really want to expand that to the trolley for
Yeah.
the certain, so
Yeah.
there's a lot that's gonna go into it next month.
And it depends too, we have to have the vehicle here and available, but yeah, you will get paid for it. But we want everybody to be intimately familiar with them, so you can tell, hey, this thing's not working right, and you can tell mechanics so that we can tweak it. Because going down bumpy roads can play with it and get it out of kilter to where it doesn't want to work right.
Are we gonna be using the 500s for wheelchairs? Cause it has
The
the
ramps,
ramps in the back.
that's what they're for, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, you'll get retrained on everything. And the minis and the trolley are similar. The motor coach is its own, and then we've got all the ramps, and I think all the white vans are similar too. So you've got quite a few in the mix. So, we want to make sure that everybody is good with all of them.
Motor coach too.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so,
Why don't we also have on the side, when you open up the door on the shuttle bus for the lift,
Instructions.
pull up emergency brake.
Yeah.
Without that, you're dead in the water. That was my mistake.
oh, yes, it wouldn't help, it wouldn't hurt to have, like a cheat card,
Yeah,
cheat sheet there,
Yeah,
so that you can,
laminated.
yeah, take a look at it. Yep. That'd be a good
That's
idea. So, keep that in mind, you'll get contacted and everybody's gonna get filtered through. So we have a, satisfactory safety record. We want to keep it that way. We work very hard at it. Drivers are very diligent at being careful. We want it to continue that way. So there's a few things though, let's say if an accident happens. There's a few things we take a look at. So let's say, technically it's the other person's fault. They got a ticket. We're still gonna take a look and see, was it preventable? Because that's a big thing. Based on Smith system, was it preventable? So for example, if you have a four-way stop, you have a van facing south, you have a car coming towards you, coming north, and you're at the stop sign, are you gonna sit and wait till that car stops, or are you gonna go assuming he's gonna stop?
Stop.
You're gonna wait till he stops.
You stop, because you don't know.
One thing you notice is.
Well, that's just
It'll go
it.
down a little bit, but you wanna make sure it comes to a complete stop.
Exactly. You can see when he's starting to stop, but you want to make sure he's going to stop. So what happened was the driver assumed he was going to stop, pulled out, T-bone. My first question is, did you see the front end go down when he started to stop? No. So we take a look at that. That was preventable. If he'd have just sat there and watched the car not stop, he wouldn't have been in the fray. So we do take a look at, was what happened preventable from our standpoint. In the case of, let's say, a car making a right and the car behind just following nose to tail without clearing the first car. The accident wasn't our fault, but we got into it because we
Oh,
didn't
okay.
wait for the road to clear before we pulled out. Totally unnecessary. There's other things too. On 14, we had an SUV going westbound. Traffic going eastbound, there's an accident. He wasn't paying attention to Smith system. He was being a gawker, and as he looked over, this car came up behind him and beside him, whipped in front of him, and he looked back, there's the car. Hit him. So that was totally preventable. Shouldn't have been looking over there, should have been watching here, and that car would not have snuck in, or at least he could have stopped without hitting it. So we take a look at, was it preventable? It always comes down to, was it preventable? Some cases it's not. We had a motor coach coming down from the U of M tennis area, and a car just come up and got him in the side. Don't know what happened, but we were okay. There's nothing we could have done. So in that case, we couldn't have prevented it. So we take a look at, was it preventable? And then we look at some other things too. We look at retraining maybe to heighten awareness of what people need to be looking for. So in your everyday travels out there, you'll do really well if you follow the Smith system. It will keep you safe. Years ago, on 75, it was very early in the morning, so it was dark. There was a car traveling southbound, and it's 3 lanes there, and there's quite a bit of traffic in the morning. It wasn't bumper to bumper. There's quite a bit. So out of the corner of his eye, he saw this car flying down the entrance ramp to the expressway. So instinctively, he slowed down because he doesn't know where it didn't look like he was gonna, stay in his lane or merge. So he slowed down straight across and hit the wall. Now we know that because in the old days, I don't know if you remember, we had drive cam. It would take Jeep, it would stamp it and then back up 10 seconds. So we could see what would happen. You could see on the camera, the car coming down, crossing over and hitting. And he made a comment to the passenger. Oh, look at that. And all of a sudden, bam. So your peripheral vision is your warning signal. And you need to heed it. Could be color, could be light, could be sound. But you need to heed that because it will help keep you safe. So we can learn from accidents on how to avoid them. It's sometimes tough to explain. Okay, how this happened? Well, and then you get into trying to explain how it happened. Bottom line is, did it really have to happen? In most cases, it's no.
99% of accidents, more than 99% are driver error.
Yeah,
Ours or theirs, but being proactive is a great way to avoid accidents following the SPIS system.
yeah,
One thing you need to look at, and that's happened to me, is the tail swing on different vehicles.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hit that guy's mirror. It was like $1,000. It
wow.
was huge. Couldn't believe it.
Kendra,
It was just a tail swing. So when I'm pulling in and pulling out, I'm looking very close on that sign.
right, and that's something I tried to explain to somebody just the other day when I had him out. Tail swing, you need to know where your back end is going to be when it turns. I've had people, catch a dumpster. More than one mirror. And all it took was just to pay a little more attention, to where you were at, because the vehicles that have big tail swings, you gotta watch them, because that will creep up on you. It's all of a sudden you've hit something. It's like, oh no. So, yeah, you're right.
Especially at gas stations filling up. It's kind of crowded, people coming in and out.
Yeah, those are
Like
tough.
that turn, with their pillars and stuff.
Yep, that's a biggie. That's a biggie.
Watch those.
That's why you need to pick the path of, I call it the path of least resistance, to where you're gonna be safe. Take the time to do it, because if you don't, you try and rush, sometimes it's not a good outcome.
Right.
So does anybody have any questions at all right now? Okay. If you do, just let us know. We'll get answers for you. And again, we're gonna have a meeting, several meetings on the same day every month. And that way, we hope to catch things, maybe cut trends down, and keep our people more professionally in line and trained. I think we're already better than a lot of other companies, so we want to keep it that way. All right, I will let you go. Time's up.
Thanks. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thanks. And for the record, I'm not gonna drive with Jonathan. He gets rear-ended too much.
Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Carol. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, you're welcome.
I'll be stopping in your office tomorrow because I want to
Twice,
catch up
yeah.
with you.
Okay, all right.
For the record, I'm not driving.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you guys.
Still here to tell the tale.
All right, so did you get Alfred? He was on there.
Alfred,
Yeah,
Good evening.
good night, Richard. Was,
saw Alfred. I didn't see him, but I saw Alfred. We'll have to check with him. I don't think he was on there.
Donna Marshall.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here, Jonathan.
Hey, Alfred. Oh, Alfred.
Yep.
Did your suit
Right,
come
right,
today?
right. Huh?
Did your suit come in today?
My pants. I'm still waiting on the jacket.
Okay. All right. Well, then
All
we'll
right.
get you in next week.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna let you know as soon as I get it. Believe me.
No problem. All right.
All right.
Good talking to you.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye.
So I.
Donna
Donna
Marshall.
made it. Okay, so I'm
Donna.
not sure about these two, or about him.
Brian Brad?